You ever find yourself in a moment where you think no? You know Simeon's about to walk straight into their own trap, and all you have to do is sit back and limp? That's exactly where I found myself 6 months back, watching karma work its magic right there in broad daylight. Funny how justice sometimes wears muddy boots and an orange vest, you know? Let me set the scene for you, because honestly, if you've ever dreamed about peace and quiet, you'd understand why I made the move. After more than 2 decades as a sheriff's deputy dealing with all the noise, the petty politics, the everyday grind that wears you down till you barely recognize yourself in the mirror, I was done. Toast. My wife, Linda, had been on me for years. Let's just find somewhere small, somewhere real, somewhere we can breathe. So, when I hit 50, we packed up and headed out to what the real estate lady called a ranchette. 8 acres of rolling hills, ancient oaks, and this stone walla stonemason's work from the 1940s, each rock fitting like it had always belonged there. It just felt right. We'd been told the HOA was more of a formality, $50 a month for road maintenance. Nothing else. No usi kemitis. No telling you what color to paint your porch. It was heaven, or so I thought. What no one mentioned was that the place came with its own brand of hell. A self-appointed queen in a gaudy mansion right at the entrance, who decided our quiet patch of dirt wasn't good enough for her vision. Now, I'm not one for drama. My idea of a wild weekend was fixing up the barn or tuning up the old Ford tractor I dragged out from behind the chicken coop. I even took a gig as a property liaison for the county, helping folks settle boundary disputes. Nothing too stressful. Most days, I wore an old flannel, scuffed boots, and smell like engine oil. Linda would joke I was finally turning into the cranky old farmer I always threatened to become. Life was steady, until one Tuesday in late spring, Linda comes barreling into the barn with this official-looking letter, hands trembling. I could tell by her face something wasn't right. The letter? It was from the HOA. Said they'd voted without us. A Corsido beautify the entrance to the subdivision, and to do that, my stone wall and 3 massive oaks had to go. Gone. Bulldozed. They wanted to build some Mediterranean monstrosity of a gate, and my place was in their way. 30 days to comply, or they'd send in the wrecking crew and bill me for it. You can probably imagine what I said. First off, those trees had stood for a century, easy. They shielded using half the neighbors from the howling winter wind. That wall? It kept my driveway from washing out in every rainstorm. And more than that, it was on my land, way inside the boundary lines. The legal mumbo-jumbo in the letter didn't even match the HOA docs we'd signed. They were quoting covenants that didn't exist, claiming some phantom easement rights. I've seen plenty of bogus paperwork in my time, but this took the cake. So, I did what any halfway sane person would. I gathered every piece of paper I had. Surveys, property maps, even county records on that stone wall. I sent a polite but firm email, spelling out that the trees and wall were my property, that they had zero right to touch them, and attached everything I could find. Figured that'd be the end of it. Nope. 2 days later, the president fires back, doubling down, tells me the boards voted unanimously, contractors are coming, and if I don't like it, take it up with the courts. She ended it with, I'm sure you'll appreciate the improvements once they're finished. You know, the kind of smugness you only get from someone who's never been told no. I knew exactly what she was doing, pushing her luck, betting on folks rolling over. But I'd worn a badge for 22 years. I knew a bluff when I saw one. I called my lawyer, sent him everything. He confirmed what I suspected, the HOA was in the wrong. But by the time I got an injunction, the damage might be done. He said, document everything. Be ready. So, that weekend, I got to work. Photographed every inch of the wall and those oaks. Set up a body cam on the fence post, aimed square at the road. Marked the property lines with bright orange spray paint, so there was no question where my land ended. Maybe I got a little paranoid, but I'd seen enough crazy in my career to trust my gut. I even called a buddy still on the force and asked him to run a little background on our HOA president. Turns out, she had a history. Lawsuits, neighbor disputes, you name it. And then Thursday morning, running on maybe 2 hours sleep after a long night shift, I pull in to find a full-size bulldozer idling just outside my line. And there she is, she heels, neon vest with the tag still on, waving her arms at the bulldozer guy and pointing at my oaks like she's directing traffic on a movie set. Now, here's where it gets good. I stroll up, still half in uniform tactical pants, boots, jacket over my badge. First thing, I go straight to the bulldozer operator. Guy's just there to work, not get mixed up in drama. I ask him to kill the engine. Let's talk. The president storms over, talking over me, waving her documents around but refusing to actually show them, insisting I was just some rent-a-cop trying to throw my weight around. She told the bulldozer guy to keep going, not to mind me. Honestly, part of me want to lose my temper, but I'd seen how that ends. Instead, I walked back to my truck, clipped my body camera to my jacket, grabbed my DSLR, and started documenting everything. Position of the bulldozer. Orange spray paint. Her standing there giving orders. She laughed, told me to go ahead, and call the cops. She had the board's blessing. Nobody could stop her. So I did exactly what you're supposed to, looked her right in the eye and told her she was trespassing. This was all being recorded, and any damage was a criminal matter. The operator suddenly gets real nervous, asks if she's sure about the boundaries. She brushes him off, tells him to hurry up and knock it down. He starts the bulldozer. And yeah, I watched, jaw clenched, as 20 feet of that wall toppled over. When he moved to the oaks, one came down right across the stones, crushed another 30 feet. The president clapped like she'd just won the lottery. That's when I figured she'd given me everything I needed. Quiet as you please, I take off my jacket badge, glinting, full uniform visible now. I step up, ask the operator to shut down. His face drains. He's off that machine faster than I've ever seen. The president? Mouth open, dead silent. I introduce myself, full rank, official capacity. Inform them they're under investigation for trespassing and criminal damage, all on body cam, every minute. The operator apologizes, says he was just following orders. I tell him to pack up and leave and maybe call his insurance. 5 minutes later, he's gone. The president tries to wriggle out. Suddenly, it's all a misunderstanding. She's got no documents, claims she was misinformed. I spell it out, no authority, nothing in the covenants, and as the county's property dispute liaison, I know exactly how this works. Her face says it all. I spent an hour taking measurements, photos, documenting every last bit. Damage estimate, over $45,000. The oak alone was worth nearly half. But as we're prepping the lawsuit, my lawyer digs through property records and finds her own house was built 3 feet over the setback, with an unpermitted addition, a swimming pool breaking water restrictions, and landscaping encroaching on county land. The planning department comes down hard 90 days to fix it or else. The HOA board, what's left of it, votes her out in an emergency session. The new president, a retired teacher, apologizes, promises they'll leave my property alone. Neighbors, suddenly feeling brave, start speaking up about her bullying. The criminal case? She pleads guilty, gets probation, hundreds of hours of community service, and a hefty fine. She's forced to pay full restitution. The civil judgment hits over $75,000. She can't pay, so she sells her house and moves out of state, poetic, if you ask me. And wouldn't you know it, word is she tried to join another HOA board elsewhere and got rejected thanks to that little conviction. After that, things changed. The money for her fancy gate went to fixing the gravel road for real. We rebuilt the Waloosed 70% of the original stones, brought in a near-century-old oak to replace what was lost. It's better than it ever was. Folks actually come to HOA meetings now. We've got a community garden, a tool library, even some proper road drainage. The peace and quiet I wanted? Got it, and then some. Sometimes I sit out there on my new old wall, coffee in hand, sun just creeping over the hills, and I think about everything that happened. One person's arrogance nearly wrecked a whole community, but standing up calmly, Letting her bury herself in her own mess, that's what turned it around. You ever dealt with someone like that? Somebody who thought the rules didn't apply? What did you do? Did you fight? Or just keep your head down? Drop your story below and hold back. Let's see where the line is between standing your ground and letting things slide. Maybe together, we can figure out what justice really looks like in a real world.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.